Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing an eyeshadow palette video after a really long time on the channel. I'm super excited about it. Now I have a different channel for eyeshadow palette reviews. That's where I do most of my eyeshadow palette videos. So if you have not subscribed to my other channel, then do subscribe, because that's where I post my eyeshadow palette videos. But since today's is a ranking video, I thought I'll post it here. So today I'm going to rank all of the eyeshadow palettes which I have purchased in the year 2020. Well, not all, because I have not used all of them. So I am technically just ranking the ones which I have used. I wanted to do this video earlier, but I didn't finish up using all the palettes. So I thought I'll just rank the ones which I have used. Okay, enough talking. Let's get started with the video. Okay, let's get started. So I am ranking 17 eyeshadow palettes today. These are the 17 which I have purchased in 2020 and I have used them in 2020. Now there are a few other palettes which I have, but I haven't really used them. So let me just quickly show you which ones they are. I purchased one more Jackie Aina palette. This is my second one which I purchased in 2020. I love this palette. This is out of the ranking order. Okay, then I purchased the VISEART Violeta palette towards the end of the year. I haven't really used it. I haven't even reviewed this on the other channel. So this one I will review this year. I purchased the two Certify Infinity palettes. Affinity palette, not Infinity, Affinity palettes. Affinity 1 and Affinity 2 palettes. I haven't really used them. Like, I haven't used all of the shades. So this is out of the ranking. And I've also purchased the Colourpop Fade into Hue, the holiday collection palette. I have used this a fair amount, but I don't know, I'm still not comfortable putting it in the ranking yet. So this is also out of the ranking. So there are 6 palettes which I'm not ranking. So technically I have 17 plus 6, 23, right? Yes, 23 palettes. Now these are all the bigger palettes. I have mini palettes as well, for which I will do separate videos. Mini palette rankings, mini palettes which I'm not including, etc, etc. Let's get started. So number 17. So number 17, I have the Urban Decay palette. This is the Naked UltraViolet palette. This was a decent palette. I was not wowed by it, so that's why it's at the bottom. This is how the packaging looks like. Being a purple palette, you would think I would love this palette. I liked it. It was not really a love kind of a palette, because out of the 16 shades or 14 shades which are in here, only like these 5 are like purples which I can use. There is one light lavender kind of shade which is not very usable for me, and there are 2 very pretty duochrome kind of sparkly shades which I loved, but the texture is not very good on this particular one. Although I really love this color, it's not very easy to work with. So this is a really very like a okay palette, nothing very exciting. You can use the violets or the purples which are in here to create like very simple looks. Don't try to mix in too many shades if you don't really want very intense shadows, intense purples. Quite nice. I mean, everyday friendly wise, if you just want a hint of purple, for that purpose it's quite nice. But I don't know, I had like a problem with the color story. You can't really do much if you want to do very creative looks, or if you want to mix and match more colors. You can't do that. There are not enough matte shades for my kind of skin tone. I mean, all the mattes which are in here are very light. They don't really work out that well for my skin tone. So it's a fun palette. It's a very easy palette if you just want to create like one single eyeshadow look. But as an eyeshadow palette and as a color story, I was not a fan. I have much better purple palettes in my collection. So that's why it's on number 17. Number 16, we have the ColouredRaine Juicy Boost palette. Okay, this is the bigger version. They also have like a book style version which I had ordered, but I received this one. I'm a little upset about that, but this is how the palette looks like. It's pretty big. I wanted the book version because I stay away from bigger palettes. So I think that's half of the reason that I don't really like this palette, or it's at the bottom because of the size. And I am pretty sure I would have felt differently if it was the book size. These are all the shades which are in here. There aren't many shimmer shadows in this. This is a very matte heavy palette. So if you are into like colorful mattes, this is a good palette. I think Here also I have a problem with the color story. It's very unique, very different, but not necessarily all the colors like gel with each other. Like you can't, if you stay within this rose, then you will be fine. If you try to mix and match too much, I don't like the looks which I get. That's my issue with this palette. Otherwise, I think the formulation wise, it's good. It's very good. I think the ColouredRaine Queen of Hearts palette has better mattes. Some of the mattes could have been a little better, but overall I do really like this palette. And if you want to create just a warm tone look with these colors and maybe some pinks, you will get a nice look. If you want to use the blue greens with the pinks, you will get a nice look. And if you want to use the greens with the orange, you'll get a nice look. But don't try to like mix in too much. That's where the problem happens with this palette. But overall it's nice. I would say it's a nice palette. The shimmers are not something I'm crazy about. I just like this particular one, which is like a very bright gold. The other two shimmers are okay. This one is very chunky, so I have a problem with the shimmers as well. They are very intense though, but I don't know, I have used better palettes this year, and better palettes in terms of wearability as well. So that's why this is on number 16, but it's a lot of fun to play with this palette. I have a full review video on this palette on my other channel, and also a review video on this on my other channel. Okay, on number 15 we have the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette. This is how the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette looks like. It is the Ultimate Utopia. So this is a very interesting color story. I loved this palette. So there is like a cooler tone vibe over here and a more warmer tone vibe over here. So it's a mix of both warms, cool, neutral shadows. I loved these 8 shadows in here. These are very unique to my collection and they performed quite well. Even the mattes performed pretty well. There is a dark, like a, what is this, like a muted green, gray green kind of a color, which is very interesting. I don't have shades like this, and it shows up pretty well on my skin tone. Love this shade as well, which is like a very simple, subtle duochrome kind of a color. So this is a very wearable palette, and the colors are very muted, very wearable, and some of the shimmers, they are not very smooth. They're a little bit chunky, so that's why it's at number 15. But overall it's a very nice, decent palette to have. If you are interested in this color story, you want to use something different from NYX, this is a good one. So that's number 15. Number 14, we have another Urban Decay palette. This is the Stoned Vibes palette. I'm giving it some extra point because of the packaging. I love the packaging. The packaging just makes me happy. Whenever I take out this palette, it just mesmerizes me. Okay, so I'm giving a little bit of point for packaging. It's just superb. It's a little bit bulky though, but I really like it. Okay, and these are all the shades which are in here. Sorry. So in here you get 4 matte shades, or satin matte, I would say satin matte shades, which are really good. If you just want to create a single eyeshadow look with the satin shades, that also works great. But I love some of the shimmers which are in here, and somehow the shimmers work really well, even on its own or in combination with some other shimmer. It's really pretty. If you like sparkly shadows like I do, I love sparkles. Shimmers have to be really good in a palette to rank it higher. Okay, so this ranks higher because the shimmers are really pretty, the packaging is very nice, and they're very sparkly, and they're very wearable sparkly. That is the more important. I've already used this palette a number of times in my regular life. Just a little bit, like a couple of shimmers which are in here, sparkly shades, and a little bit of matte. It creates a very beautiful, simple, easy to do look. So like practicality wise, because I love shimmer finish or sparkly shadows, I can use this palette a lot. So that's why it is ranking a bit higher. And of course the packaging is just so pretty. So this was the number 14th palette. Next we have number 13th. This is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, number 13. I really like this palette because it's very warm toned. Usually nowadays I don't really like that much of like too warm toned a palette. This is a nice mix of warm tone, but a little bit of that pink, purple is in here, so it balances the warmth of the palette very nicely. You have some very nice mattes over here. These mattes, they blend so nicely with each other. I can just create a matte look and be done with. And even this olive, like a dirty mustardy kind of a color, is also very nice. Overall, I think the mattes are very good quality in this palette. I was not a fan of Too Faced mattes, but I think they have really improved on the formulation. So love the mattes. They blend superbly with each other, and you can just create a very fun looks with the mattes. Okay, so this is a very matte heavy palette. There are not too many shimmers, and the shimmers which are in here, there is not much variety. So whatever is there is nice. There are some purples, some olive greens, and that's about it. Whatever is there is nice. It's pretty wearable. I think I am ranking it higher, even though there are not too many like very outstanding shimmers in this palette, is because there is a purple which is very nice, and the olive greens which are in here are also very nice. So I think the tone of the shimmers does make a difference. They are very wearable, and the mattes work great with each other. Love the packaging, love the scent. So this is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, just because it is very wearable, very usable, very everyday friendly, ranking it higher at number 13. Next we have a green eyeshadow palette. This is from BH Cosmetics. This is the Avocado Toast palette. Love the formulation of this palette, and super cute, very lightweight, very affordable as well. This is how the Avocado Toast palette looks like. Now it's a green palette, but still it's a very wearable kind of a palette. You can create a lot of different kind of looks with this palette, or you could go simple. All the greens which are here in the palette are very wearable. They have like they have a fun, vibrant vibe over them. So it's colorful, but it's very wearable. So that's why I'm ranking it higher. The formulation is amazing. The affordability factor is also there. When you can get a palette so good like this at such a low price, I think we need to recognize that and rank it higher. It's very wearable. I have used this so many times in my regular life. Whenever I have wanted to do green looks, even neutral looks, if you want to do very neutrally sort of looks with this palette, that is also possible. There are some warmer tones, some nice mattes, very nice metallic shades in here, some olive tones, the kind of colors I love, olive tones. And the greens which are also in here are very different sort of greens. Okay, so this is a very unique sort of a green color story which I have seen, and I think this is a must-have palette. If you like green eyeshadows, definitely try this palette, because it's something different and the quality is excellent. So that's why ranking it higher at number 12. Number 11 is its brother, the Blueberry Muffin palette from BH Cosmetics. Again, I love blue more than green. I think I prefer going blue purple more, so that's why it is ranking higher than the green one at number 11. This is also a very unique color story. I have worn this palette so many times. This purple, even this shade right here, I have used them many times. I have used the same look over and over again. I really love the looks which I get from this palette. The mattes, the blue mattes, the lavender matte right here, they are so pretty, so easy to work with, works great on my skin tone. I love how they are very easy to blend, and they are very richly pigmented. Look at some of the blues here. They are like super soft and so richly pigmented. I haven't seen blue shades like this at this price. Okay, so this is an excellent, well done. I don't know, I mean, you can do so much with this palette. You can do neutrals, you can do cool tone looks, you can do purple looks, you can do very easy, simple looks with just these light neutral shimmer shades. So a lot can be done with this palette. So definitely ranking it higher at number 11. By the way, I have a video on both of these palettes on my other channel, where I have swatched all of the shades on my eyes. I have shown you looks. So if you're interested in these palettes, then you check out the videos on my other channel. Now we are moving to the top 10. The top 10 palettes of 2020. Okay guys, so the top 10 eyeshadow palettes of 2020. The number 10 is from Kaleidos Makeup, the Escape Pod collection. Now all of the palettes which I'm going to show you now are going to be palettes which I use a lot in my daily life. These are like my go-to palettes in the year 2020, and the Kaleidos Escape Pod is definitely one of them. Love the beautiful color story of this palette. This is how the palette looks like. I have a full review video on almost all of the palettes which I'm showing, so I will link all the videos. Okay, so this is how the palette looks like. It's a little bit bulky, but I really like the theme of the palette. There are some beautiful colors which are in here, very bright, very vibrant, neon-y sort of colors. The mattes just blend so well together. The matte formulation of these Kaleidos palettes, they are just amazing. And also the duochrome shades, there are so many sparkly duochrome in this palette, and they have that pastel-y vibe to them. I think they look amazing. They look super sparkly and very pretty on the eyes. The duochromes and the mattes, they just gel perfectly together. So this is going to be my number 10 pick. I think this is the most colorful palette which I have in the top 10. Rest all are like half colorful, half neutral palette. So this is my go-to palette if you're looking for a colorful palette from 2020. Number 9, I have this one from Colourpop, the Boudoir Noir palette. I have recently done a video on this. This is from their holiday collection, so I'm not sure if you can get this anymore, but this is such a well done palette. This is a olive gold color story palette. I don't know if you can see the colors properly. Anyways, I have review video on all of these palettes. All have been swatched everywhere, I think Instagram and YouTube. So this has olive and greens, and this is such a beautiful everyday friendly palette. If you're looking for something different, then this is a beautiful palette. This is very similar to the khaki haze palette, which also I have purchased in 2020, but that one I will consider as a mini palette, so I'm not including it in this video. But there are some similar shades in both the palettes. Anyways, this has one pressed sparkly glittery shade as well, which is also very nice. Love that there is one single gold eyeshadow in here. Like one gold is enough. I'm not a big fan of gold. I love the olivey tones which are here in plenty. There is one mustardy shade. There are some neutral shades. Love it. Love the color story, and I have already done looks with this palette, and they are just so pretty. Very wearable palette. It also has a mirror, by the way, so that also comes in handy. Then we have the palette from Nabla. This is the Dreamy 2 palette. Love the packaging of this palette. Love the packaging of Nabla eyeshadow palettes. They are super cool. Okay, so this is like their constellation themed palette. So this has a lot of beautiful sparkles. Now this was not launched in 2020. I think I have purchased it in 2020. This was my first eyeshadow palette which I purchased in 2020. So I am including only those palettes which I have purchased in 2020. Okay, so not necessarily launched in 2020. So there are a lot of beautiful sparkly shadows in here. I use this palette in my regular life a lot. Whenever I want some purple, some blues, there are some beautiful creamy matte shades right here. These are very good for like very quick eye looks. You can top this up with some sparkles which are in here. Love this palette. It's very wearable. It's very sparkly, very wearable. Great for nighttime looks. I'm not too sure if you can get this though, but I absolutely love this palette. This is one of my favorite palettes which I have from Nabla, and overall as well, because I love sparkles, and there are some beautiful sparkly shades which are like my kind of sparkly shades which are in here. Okay, so that is number 8. Number 7 is another holiday collection. So this is from McGrath. This is a Celestial Divinity palette. I have done a few looks with this palette. I didn't really do a single video, but I have done like looks in different videos, and I have a full review video on this. I have swatched all the shadows on my eyes. I think this is still available. If you want it, you can still get it. It is so gorgeous. The pan size is smaller, so this was priced less, but I don't mind it because there is no way I will be able to use it up. But I love the colors which are in here. There are just 3 mattes, so that's a little bit of a bummer. You can't do much with the mattes, but there are a lot of metallic shades, not too many special shades as well. Like I think there are 3 or 4 kind of duochrome kind of shades, and I think 1 sparkly shade. Rest are all metallic shades, but they are still pretty nice. The metallic shades also have like a slight sparkly element to them. So and the entire palette is very wearable. I love this one. Like you can just hold the palette like this. It stays like this. There's like a string attached here, and it just stays like this, which is also very nice. Usually I like palettes which lay flat, but I really like this particular concept right here. Beautiful olive tones, beautiful pinks, all the kind of shades which I love are in here. So this is going to be at number 7, right? I hope 7. Yes, 7. Okay, number 6 we have this one. This is one of my go-to palettes when I want to do nothing much, just a little bit of neutral look. This is my go-to, the Too Faced Born This Way palette. Love it. It's super easy to work with. As I was saying, for the pumpkin spice palette, the Too Faced mattes, they have improved quite a lot. I love the gradient which they have done in this palette. It's very pleasing and soothing to the eyes. I think most of the shades work on me, maybe just like a couple of shades which are not really like they're just blending shades for me. Rest all the shades work great on my skin tone. The shimmers are very nice. They are a little bit different kind of a texture. They are a little sparkly as well, which I don't mind. Some people who are not used to those kind of metallic shades may face some issues, but I found them pretty easy to work with. And the matte shades, they are just superb. They work so well, and there are some rosy tones in here and some neutrally brown tones, so it works great. I love this palette. It's a nice neutral palette from Too Faced, which is at number 6. Okay, top 5. So you will be seeing a lot of like sparkles, pinks, purples. Prior warning. Number 5 we have the MATASHA DENONA Love palette. Love this palette. Okay, I love the packaging of the palette. It's very pretty pink palette, and this was the 2020 Valentine's Day launch, I think, and this is how the palette looks like. I use this palette a lot. There are some beautiful pinks, very nice mattes in this palette, range of pink toned mattes in this palette, which is great to create like a gradient sort of look. There are a few 2-3 purple kind of shades, which is a great feature. I love purples. The metallics are very pretty. There are some like sparkly metallics, sparkly duochrome. I think there is just one duochrome kind of shade in this palette, which is this one. But overall I think this is a great palette. If you love pinks and purples, this is a great palette to consider because it works really well. It's not expensive as the other bigger MATASHA DENONA palettes. It's relatively less expensive. So that's at number 5. Number 4, this is relatively a newer palette, but I have used this so much. The Colourpop Menage Muah palette. I know, a Colourpop palette number top 5 after a really long time, because I used to love Colourpop palettes, but I kind of took a break from them. But this is such a beautiful palette. If you love berry tones, mauvey tones, this is so beautiful. I think all the colors, they just work wonderfully together, and this is a very nice everyday sort of palette for me. I think I was a little bit confused about which one to put, the MATASHA DENONA Love palette or the Colourpop palette. I am putting this one first just because it's like very affordable. I mean, for just $12 or $13 you can get such good quality shadows, really pretty colors. The tones of the berries and the mauve shades which are in here, they are so beautiful. Love the metallic shades also which are in here, this one and this one, like with the deeper shades, the metallic shades also work great. Of course, the MATASHA DENONA Love palette is more versatile. You get purples as well. In here you don't get many tones to play with, but whatever is here, it works great. In fact, the glitters which are in here, they are also really pretty glitters. So I don't know, somehow I have used this palette a lot and I really like the looks which I've created with this palette. So I'm ranking it a little bit higher. Otherwise, these two palettes are like on par. They are like 4 or 5, 5 or 4, whatever. Okay, top 3 palettes. First one is number 3, the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette. 2020 was a big year for me. I got some bigger Pat McGrath palettes and now I think I can't stop, because today also I'm wearing a Pat McGrath palette, but it is not any of these palettes. It's a new one which I will show you later. Okay, so this one is the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette, and this was the first big palette I purchased from Pat McGrath because I really wanted to get like a neutral palette from Pat McGrath, which has some interesting shades. In here there are 4 interesting shades and rest all are neutral shades. If you want to do glittery sparkly eye looks, you can use these colors. Otherwise just use these shades. They are so easy to work with. The glitters are a little bit tricky to work with. Okay, what I do, what has worked for me, is I use glitter glue, the Too Faced glitter glue. I will apply the glitter and then just blend or smooth out a little bit with the brush. That works great, and the glitter fallout is like almost nil. But like I said, they are a little tricky to work with, so you have to be a little bit careful. But the mattes, they are just superb quality. They are just something different. They just blend themselves. I mean, you don't really have to work hard at them, and I just love that about high-end mattes, how easy they are to blend. They don't muddy. They will just blend and create this beautiful gradient. Okay, number 2, we have the VISEART Dark Edit palette. This is such a cute, handy little palette. I've used this so much. This is such a well done color story from VISEART. This has some purples in here too. There's a purple matte and a purple shimmer kind of a color, which work great. And there are some blues, some neutrals. You can do so much with this palette. There is a light green, there's a light olive kind of a color. I mean, in this small little palette, they have packed so much. I have used this palette so much. I think I've used all the shades. Yes, I have used all of the shades except probably this golden shade, which I haven't really used all over, but as a highlight shade. Other than that, I have used all the shades. They work beautifully together, especially if you want like a simple purple gradient look. You can get that with so much ease with this palette, which I love. I love those kind of berry purpley tone shades, and I can do that so easily. Even the olive toned color works so great with the purples too. So love this palette. I will highly recommend this VISEART palette. VISEART mattes are also very similar to the Pat McGrath mattes. At least the Pat McGrath mattes, I would say they swatch pretty well. You can see the pigmentation. VISEART ones, not all the time they swatch very well, but on the eyes they are like a dream to work with. They're so blendable and so pigmented. Okay, so that's number 2. And number 1, which is the last eyeshadow palette which I'm talking about today, number 1, the topmost, the best palette which I've purchased last year is this one, another Pat McGrath palette. This is the Subversive palette. The shades in here, they are like everything I would ever want or need. Everything I always love is in this palette. There is a deeper black as well in here, which I always want in a palette. There are some neutral shades, some browns. There are 2 very wearable kind of metallic or shimmer kind of shades. I would say they are very wearable, very easy to do. There is a beautiful olive. There is a blue with a purple shift. Like from here it is a purple, but what you can see is a blue. There is a pink and a gold. And there is this very interesting duochrome shade, which is an excellent inner corner kind of a palette. So this has like almost every kind of color which I reach for the most, and very sparkly. So this is not really an everyday palette, but if I feel like doing something extra special, I always pick up this palette, and it's like it gives me a lot of joy to play with this palette and love the sparkles or the shimmers, the sparkly effect of these shades. They're just so pretty, out of this world. This is something very different which I have in my collection, and I think I am the most happiest that I finally purchased this. After I tried the Bronze Seduction palette, I was hooked onto this one, that I really wanted this. I don't think there is another Pat McGrath palette I want now. Maybe there is one, I don't know, but this is all I wanted last year, and finally I purchased it. And it's great that I could purchase both of these palettes when there was a sale, so I didn't really pay full price as well. So that's my number 1 palette of the year. Yeah, I'm so happy I finally did this ranking video. I have been postponing this since so long. So I hope this video was helpful and you liked it. If you have your top palettes which you have purchased last year, then do let us know in the comment section as well which one was your favorite. I would love to know. And if you have any other questions, then let me know. I will link all the related videos in the description box below. Okay, so I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're watching me for the first time, I really hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel as well. Thank you so much for watching me today. I will see you again really soon in my next video. Bye.